What's going on, everybody? Gentleman94 here. Welcome back to Ben Builds. This is the Albatros, episode number 15, and we're pushing right along today, jumping right into some propeller work. Now, I'm going to try to replicate a little bit more wood detail here on my propeller, and I'm going to use this burnt umber. I think that's a really cool contrast color than what I have actually on there right now. So we're going to go ahead and take our micro brush, and we're going to attempt to reproduce kind of a stratification look here on the actual propeller. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. Again, my micro brush is about the perfect width that I want. I'm going to actually paint some bands of this raw umber. We're going to try to make them even, make them match on both sides, and then we're going to come back, we'll blend them together. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this will give us a really cool wood grain effect that will look awesome when we put it on the model. So let's go ahead and get it started, see what we can do. So let's take our sponge and we're going to just draw the sponge down across these lines that I've just painted. I'm going to try to leave a lot of texture to it, so it really gives that look of having like wood grain, different knots and whatnot here. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Blend it together. I can always come back and, repeat, trying to get that nice heavy wood grain effect. And I really honestly like that. Looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and try the other side, and we're just going to continue working until we reach something that we're really happy with. Again, it's not perfect. I don't really know what I'm doing, but let's go ahead and see how far we can do. All right, let's do the other side. All right, looking pretty decent. Let me go ahead and give you a close-up here. Hopefully you can see that I have left a nice chunk of wood grain here. It's not like a laminated look like some propellers would have. I wasn't going for that, even though it may be more correct than this. I just wanted to give it some wood grain and really practice that skill. I like it. I think this looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and move on to the next stage. We're going to have to install a couple extra parts. We got our tail skid and we have our exhaust pipe. So let's go ahead and tackle the exhaust pipe first. We need to go ahead and hollow out the end of this exhaust pipe, and I'm going to do that with a basic hobby knife. Get my pin vise out, get a drill bit chucked into that, and let's go ahead and hollow this out, get this looking really cool. All right, looking good. I like how this looks. This is pretty cool. We've got a nice hollowed out pipe, so this looks just as it's supposed to look. We can always take our hobby knife, clean out just a little bit more. I want to make sure not to have that too thick, but I think this is right perfect. Now we're going to do a little trick here. We're going to grab some Tamiya extra thin cement and we're going to paint it around and inside that opening. That's going to help to kind of smooth out the plastic and give it a nice tapered look. I don't really want anything jagged or anything really showing up. I want it to be nice and smooth, and this should achieve that exact effect. So we're going to let that dry. Let's move on. Now for the tail skid, I decided to do a little bit of a wood grain. We have already overcoated the tail skid itself in a nice desert yellow. Now the reason I'm not doing anything with oils right now is because this is going to take forever to dry, and I already have the propeller drying, and I don't really want to have to fool with that too much. So this is going to give us a nice, quick, rough way to get this looking a bit more like wood. So let's go ahead and give it some wood grain. Now we're going to come back and we're going to cover that with some clear yellow. Just going to go ahead and brush that on. I'm not going to airbrush it this time. I'm actually just going to brush it on. Now we're going to overcoat that with some clear orange, being very careful not to take off any clear yellow. Just a nice even coat of that. That's going to give it a nice tint, and it's going to trap that wood grain effect beneath those layers. I think it's going to look pretty decent. So it's been a little while, everything is mostly dry, and we are going to begin to assemble the last finishing touches here on the Albatros. So I have the propeller and the hub we need to put on. I have the rear tail skid, we need to put that on as well. I, of course, have the exhaust pipe, and that is about the extent of it before we can get into hitting this with future. So let's go ahead and get this going, push forward, get this thing wrapped up. All right, all the parts are on and we are ready to apply future. I've got it loaded up in the airbrush. We're going to spray it about 20 psi, and I'm going to cover the entire aircraft in this beautiful, beautiful future. All right, fingers crossed, this turns out perfectly. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it here for today. The future coat is on. It went on perfectly. Everything looks nice and shiny. Next episode, we're going to come back. We're going to put on those decals, give it a nice overcoat of future, let it dry again. Then we're going to get some weathering. And lastly, we're going to do the rigging. So next episode should be one step closer to getting this thing finished up. It's going to really bring it to life once I get those decals on. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. We will see you back here next week on Ben Builds.